How much is a promise worth? That's the question Tyler Junior College is trying to answer. For more than 5 years, the college has been working to remove barriers to access for students. Tyler Junior College, like institutions across the nation, is betting big on college promise programs as the solution to those roadblocks. Thanks to a successful pilot program, Tyler Junior College has 5 years of results that could help lawmakers and college administrators across the country begin to make a change to their own communities. For the past year, I've worked with Tyler Junior College and institutions across the nation to figure out just how valuable a promise can be. I'm Cory McCoy, and this is Promises Kept. What exactly is a college promise program? To answer that, we're going to have to start with a broad overview. The Kalamazoo Promise was the first of its kind, and it operates a little bit differently than a lot of the modern promise programs. For Kalamazoo, it's what's called a first dollar program. That means the scholarship money is taken and immediately applied to tuition and fees. And then any grants and scholarship money beyond that is applied afterward. The second type of promise program is called a last dollar program. Now, the last dollar programs are by far more popular. More than 75% of all promise programs are last dollar. What that means is when a student receives a last dollar promise program, their grants and other sources of scholarship funds are applied first. It ultimately affects middle income students. Lower income students are going to be getting a lot more financial aid to begin with, so they may not see an actual dollar of that promise program money at the end of their high school career. So what does a promise program cover? Well, that actually varies by institution and by program. For example, the things that the TJC Rusk Citizens Promise covers is not exactly the same as what the TJC Promise will cover for students next fall. The last dollar programs became popular because they're a lot less expensive for a college. Now, that doesn't always mean that it's going to cover all the tuition and fees. For example, students in Rusk live outside of TJC's tax district, so they have to pay out-of-district fees. Often that looks like a check of about $350 to $400 per semester that their $2,000 promise scholarship isn't covering. So what is a college promise program? There are a lot out there. Today, more than 24 states have written promise programs into law, and there are 200 institutions across the nation. Tyler Junior College actually has two separate promise programs. One launched in 2014, the other is set to bring in the first students next fall. The first program Tyler Junior College launched was the Rusk TJC Citizens Promise Program in 2014. Since then, they've used that successful pilot to start modeling that program for 6 other schools. The TJC Promise looks a little bit different when it comes down to brass tacks. For the Rusk TJC Citizens Promise Scholarship, students sign up in their senior year and they receive up to $2,000 per semester to use for tuition, fees, and books. Because many of those students actually live outside TJC's tax district, they may see a little bit extra bill coming in at the beginning of the year. What Tyler Junior College has found is that promise programs tend to pretty much mirror demographics in the district. About the same number of students in the district who are considered economically disadvantaged are going to take advantage of the promise program. The college has said that this is the actual goal of that program. It's not necessarily the money. They want to take those students and create a college-going culture and convince them that they too can go to college. When looking at the data from the Rusk program, academically students are doing better. Their GPAs are half a point higher than their peer group at Tyler Junior College. When it comes to graduation rates, Rusk Promise students are almost twice as likely to graduate or go on to a 4-year college as their first time in college peers at TJC. TJC found that students in the Rusk program are as likely to receive the same grant money and scholarship money as other students. However, they're less likely to take out loans. Over 5 years, they found that students are taking out loans at a rate of about 8% lower than their peers. Many students don't realize that there are actually a lot more costs when it comes to going to college. Tuition and fees aren't all you're going to have to worry about, and then they find themselves scrambling their senior year to find more scholarship money. So you might be asking yourself, what's the catch? Well, the catch is there's no such thing as free college. While TJC and other promise programs will cover tuition and fees, there's still a lot more out there to think about. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has a list of estimates of what it costs to really go to college for every college in the state. What the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has found is that these tuition and fees are actually only about a quarter of the cost of going to college. The single biggest cost for going to college is going to be housing. In some areas like Midland and Odessa, they're seeing a housing crisis caused by oil booms in West Texas. In Odessa, you're looking at $11,000 per year. In Midland, it's over $15,000. For comparison, If you're going to college in Tyler, you're looking at $7,000 to $8,000 a year, depending on the college that you're going to. Another surprise when it comes to the real cost of college is transportation. If you live in an area that has great infrastructure and good public transit, it's going to cost you less to go to college every year. How much less? Probably about 50%. If you look at Dallas and Houston, where they have great public transportation and their community colleges have branch locations everywhere and great internet access, you're looking at about $1,800 to $2,000 a year in transportation. Textbooks. It's the one cost we all like to complain about. Depending on your college, you could be paying anywhere from $500 to $2,500 per year for school books. To combat the cost of textbooks, some colleges are actually moving coursework online, including the course material that you need for the class. So if you're going to college in Odessa, you might be paying $500 a year for your books because it's included. So what else is there that college students need to be looking at when it comes to financial aid and planning for their future? There are a lot of unexpected expenses that college students are going to run into, whether it's childcare, whether it's parking, whether you're looking at meal plans, whether you're just trying to eat during the day without having to run all the way back across town. Now you might be saying to yourself, I can save thousands a year if I just live at home with my parents during college. That might be true, but you're still going to incur thousands of dollars in extra expenses. According to federal data, the average for students living at home is still $4,000 on top of tuition fees and textbooks. TJC President Juan Mejia said their programs are actually designed to remove barriers. We've already talked about some of those barriers, most of which revolve around your pocketbook. When you're looking at other roadblocks to college access in the United States, there are a lot more factors to consider. One of them is that so much of our country is made up of large rural areas. For students in rural areas, actually getting to college could be the biggest roadblock. If you don't have a car, how are you going to get to a school that's more than an hour away? The consensus for that problem seems to be in branch locations, hybrid classes, and dual credit courses. So Dr. Juan Mejia said that the biggest thing that they can do to help students in rural areas is to expand the number of teaching locations they have. If there's enough students to make a class, they can send a faculty member. It's not a branch location, but they've got the equipment and the resources on hand to help those students succeed. Mejia started his career in the Rio Grande Valley. He helped build a college from the ground up, and the key to the success of expanding that college was teaching locations, branch locations, and eventually full campuses in different cities. In far west Texas, branch locations are not only the answer to the question of how do you get students to college, but it's also a big part of how you keep college affordable for students. Administrators from Midland College and Odessa College said that it's just too expensive for students in their service area to actually live in town, so they have to rely on those branch locations and extension offices that are in their own cities. So if promise programs aren't making college free, then what's the point of them? Well, as we've seen at Tyler Junior College, and you've seen in areas like Kalamazoo and Tennessee, you're actually creating a college-going culture. Results from promise programs don't come quickly. They're going to take years to build, and it's going to take even longer to assess that data and figure out if it's making an actual change in college-going culture across the United States. Are promise programs successful? It depends on what you're measuring success by. If it's a financial aspect, sure. Students are saving money and more are going to college. If it's a cultural aspect, absolutely. You've got students believing they could go to college who might not have been told that 5 or 10 years ago. So at the end of the day, the promise programs are just that, a promise to the community that their colleges and their lawmakers are invested in making sure that their kids have every opportunity available and can be their best self.